नमस्कार दोस्तों, थोड़ी असुविधा के लिए क्षमा चाहेंगे क्योंकि आज जिस प्रकार से ट्रैफिक की व्यवस्था थी इसलिए हमने दोबारा आपको विनती की थी कि थोड़ा लेट 17-18 मिनट पत्रकार वार्ता लेट है। असुविधा के लिए खेद। और मैं बगैर किसी भूमिका के बजट के ऊपर भारतीय राष्ट्रीय कांग्रेस की तरफ से भी एक पूर्व वित्त मंत्री के तौर पर भी और देश के एक जाने माने अर्थशास्त्री के तौर पर भी अपनी बात रखने के लिए श्री पी चिदम्बरम जी को दरख्वास्त करूंगा।
I apologize for being 18 minutes late. I tried my best. The flight was late and then the traffic was bad. But I'm glad I made it in 18 minutes. I have an opening statement. Copies will be available in English and Hindi, and then I'll take a few questions. Yesterday, the Finance Minister presented the budget for 2017-18. It was his and his government's fourth budget. I read through the 37-page, 184-paragraph budget speech and the 21 pages containing 5 appendices and an untitled section. It was a painful duty. At the end of the day, our conclusion is that the elaborate exercise has turned out to be a damp squib. There are a few positives in the budget, and I'm happy, and I shall refer to them in the course of my interaction with you after this opening statement. The most important positive is that the government seems chastened after the debacle of demonetization and has not done anything reckless or disruptive. I compliment the Finance Minister on adopting a tone of moderation. It is, however, obvious that demonetization and its inevitable consequences have demoralized the government. Government has retreated from reforms, and the government has no answers to the severe challenges faced by the economy. Key sections of the people feel cheated and let down. Firstly, the sections of the people most affected by demonetization were the farmers, farm workers, manual laborers, the self-employed, artisans, and micro, small and medium business persons. They lost crores of rupees in the form of wages, incomes, and capital. There is absolutely nothing in the budget for these sections. We had demanded that the government offer them compensation in some form, but the government has cruelly neglected them. Secondly, the acute distress in the farm sector. The government seems to be totally oblivious to the plight of the farming community. The best signal to the farmer is a remunerative price for his produce. The Finance Minister has not even uttered the phrase minimum support price in his speech. The farming community has been totally cheated by the budget. Thirdly, jobs. The most vocal demand of the people, especially the youth and their parents, is where are the jobs? The NDA promised to create 2 crore jobs every year. Their best result so far was 1.5 lakh jobs in 2015-16. There is absolutely nothing in the budget that points to a change of strategy to create new jobs. Fourthly, declining investment. Gross fixed capital formation, GFCF, has declined since the NDA government assumed office. According to the Economic Survey, it was 4.9% in 2014-15, 3.9% in 2015-16, and has precipitously fallen to minus 0.2% in 2016-17. There is absolutely nothing in the budget in terms of either new strategy or policy measures to revive private investment. Fifthly, reviving growth. It is now widely accepted that the growth rate of GDP has taken a hit due to the global situation, inadequate policy measures, and the ill-conceived demonetization. The Economic Survey resorted to a sleight of hand when it claimed that there will be a reduction of 0.25 to 0.50%, quote, relative to the baseline estimate of about 7%, unquote. That's a convoluted way of saying that the growth rate will be 6.5 to 6.75% against the forecast of 7.6% at the beginning of 2016-17. Actually, it will be worse. It will be worse not only in 2016-17, but the period of lower growth will extend to 2017-18 and 2018-19. There's absolutely nothing in the budget that points to measures to revive flagging growth. Sixthly, boosting aggregate demand. The tried, tested, and the best way to boost aggregate demand is to cut indirect taxes, especially excise duty and service tax that is paid by every consumer of goods and services, poor, middle class, and rich. Such a cut would have also given immediate relief to crores of people. Government has foolishly rejected this option. I'm afraid the country will pay a heavy price in terms of poor demand, lower sales, fewer jobs, and closures of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Seventhly, pitiful tax cuts. The tax cuts announced by the finance minister are at best tokenism. If you do the math, you will find that he has given 1.98 crore taxpayers a relief of, on average, rupees 5,000 per taxpayer. We welcome this relief, but it is small mercy for a person who stood in a queue for many hours, for many weeks, in order to withdraw small amounts of money from his or her account. The correct tax cut, I reiterate, would have been a cut in indirect taxes that would have benefited many more crores of people, including industry and business, apart from boosting aggregate demand. Eighthly, fiscal responsibility. For the second time in 4 budgets in 4 years, the government has discarded fiscal prudence and violated the FRBM Act. In 2015-16, the target of fiscal deficit should have been 3.6%. Instead, it was kept at 3.9%, and the CGA, Controller of Government Accounts, and the CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, have reported it was actually 4.31%. Now again, the target for 2017-18 should have been kept at 3%, but the government has set a target of 3.2%. Analysts, bankers, and investors in India and abroad will not take kindly to this disregard of fiscal responsibility. Ninthly, a wasted opportunity. The appendices to the budget speech contain at least 85 changes to various provisions of the Income Tax Act. No average taxpayer can understand or keep up with these changes. Every change is intended to rectify an anomaly or plug a loophole. This process, of which I am very familiar, will never end. That is why it is imperative that the draft Direct Taxes Code should be updated and enacted. It is strange that the government refuses to do what is wise and right and persists in doing what is unwise and wrong. Lastly, the GDP puzzle. What is the correct nominal GDP for 2016-17? According to last year's budget documents, The nominal GDP for 2016-17 was estimated at 150 lakhs 65,010 crore. According to the CSO's press release dated January 6, 2017, the advance estimate is rupees 151 lakh 92,588 crore. According to the budget presented yesterday, the revised estimate is 150 lakhs 75,429 crore. Which number should we believe? Altogether, we are disappointed that the government has not used the opportunity to push through bold reforms, revive aggregate demand and growth, and devise new strategies for job creation.
Please feel free to ask questions. Let's go one by one. Aditi, I'll come to everybody.
Yes.
You said that you wanted to compliment Mr. Jaitley
Yes.
for his tone of moderation. To elaborate the points where you are complimenting the effort.
Well, there are several things which I think are good. Firstly, he has expanded the mandatory non-cash transaction list in the Income Tax Act. He's now said any transaction above 3 lakhs can only be in non-cash mode. He has attempted to cleanse political funding by saying that cash donations cannot exceed, anonymous donations cannot exceed 2,000 rupees. He has announced an electoral bond. There are a few other things we should compliment him on.